Okay, so we'll just wait for a minute or two for the audience to come, and then we'll begin with our discussion.
Okay, fine.
क्या फोन बज रहा है?
All right. Greetings, everyone. Today, we are all here for the panel discussion on the artificial intelligence in the healthcare industry. It will be an hour-long discussion. The chat box will be open for you all throughout the discussion in case you have any queries. But all the doubts and queries, they will be acknowledged only towards the end of the discussion.
उज्जवल,
Okay. So, Dr. Sachdeva, am I audible to you?
yes, you're on.
Okay. So now let me introduce you all to our panelists for the evening. We have with us Dr. Sachdeva. She is a senior officer in Directorate of Family Welfare India with experience of heading reproductive health health programs at both district and state levels. She is the recipient of State Award for her meritorious services in the field of healthcare in Delhi. Ma'am,
Some issue with the camera, but I can hear you.
all right. So I'll go on.
Please
She is
continue.
also the state program officer for Family Planning Program and the principal of Family Welfare Training Center, which undertakes theoretical and skill-based trainings for various categories of health personnel. Then we have with us Professor Sabyasachi Mukhopadhyay. He is a professor of business analytics at BIMS Kolkata. Along with that, he is also the visiting faculty at Symbiosis Center for Information Technology, Pune. He has written almost 50 research papers. His findings include artificial intelligence based retinal disease detection and early stage cancer detection. Apart from these academic achievements, he was also the co-founder and chief research officer of Twilit Medtech Private Limited. Not only this, he is also the Kolkata lead of Facebook Developer Circle, a Google developer expert in machine learning, and an Intel software innovator. He has also a lot of awards to his name, like the Best Research Paper Award, Most Inspiring Facebook Developer Circle Lead, and many more. Our third panelist for the evening is Mr. Vedant Khernair. Mr. Khernair is an artificial intelligence mentor at the Tesseract Coding, along with being the co-founder of DevScript and the founder of Neo Pantium. He has won various hackathons and coding competitions. Not only this, Mr. Khernair has come up with a very smart solution for the testing of COVID-19 patients. I welcome you all to this panel discussion. We are all really excited to have you all, to have the three of you here today with us. And I am Vanshika Kapoor. I'll be your moderator for the evening. So, okay. I am sure the audience is as excited as we are about this discussion. I will begin by asking the house a question, in order to get to know the mood of the house. So the question is, you can type your responses in the chat box. Okay. So do you all think that artificial intelligence will have a successful future in the healthcare industry? All those in favor, please type in yes, and all those against the motion, please type in no. All right. So I can see that we have a very active and very active audience with us today, and that's just great. We will come back to this question later on in the discussion. But personally, yes, I also feel that artificial intelligence will definitely have a very successful future in the healthcare industry. Okay, so now without any further ado, I'll begin by asking questions to our panelists. My first question is for Professor Mukhopadhyay. Sir, as we all know that artificial intelligence has infiltrated almost every field, be it automobiles or telecom industry, and it has successfully dominated in those fields as well. Similarly, artificial intelligence has also been a part of the healthcare industry. But do you think it will ever be able to dominate in this industry like it did in the others?
Well, obviously, it's a very tricky question, but definitely it is going to create impact on the healthcare domain as well. You see, There are a lot of developments have been made in terms of the early detection of the cancer as well, by deploying artificial intelligence, and it is being able to get the early stage cancer, predict the early stage cancer correctly through 98, nearby 98, 99% accuracy, which gives you the opportunity to replace the state of art tools like biopsy. You know, the average accuracy level of the biopsy is 65 to 70%, and it is quite costly. So if you have the those cancer diagnostics tools with you on a software, software as a service model or SaaS model, you can imagine that if doctors make these subscription based charges, for example 100 rupees per scan, still it is 100 times cheaper than the biopsy, and you are getting the higher accuracy rate. So this is one of the examples where artificial intelligence has made a significant achievement. And apart from that, they have made significant success in the diagnosis of the diabetic retinopathy, diabetic macular edema, which are the major cause of blindness. And apart from that, nowadays we all are aware of the wearable devices for which are monitoring us 24/7, whether it is hard, whether it helps you to early diagnosis of the diseases like hypertension, heart diseases. So you can see artificial intelligence is has dominated in every aspects of our healthcare, and it is playing the positive catalyst, which is helping the doctors to make the diagnosis more correctly and more efficient way. And not only that, you see in our across the globe there are more than 80% people under the bottom of pyramid category, and in India it is more than 96%. So you can understand majority of the people do not have enough money to pay tax. So if AI based SaaS model, software as a service model, can do the service towards the humankind or the nations, then what can be better than that? And it is also playing a significant role in COVID-19 as well. And I am very much optimistic about that.
All right. So, in your answer, you mentioned that artificial intelligence has helped detecting the heart problems as well. So, can you explain that apart a little bit, like how it does that?
Well, Well, you see that because you see, if you have the, for example, if you have the details, you see how the AI algorithms performs. Whenever you have to develop you have to develop certain training data sets. So if you do the binary classification for the simple understanding purpose of the audience, I am trying to explain it in a lucid way. For example, you have the information of the normal heart rate, and if you build a training data set with that, if anything deviates from the normal trends, that can be detected through the abnormality. Okay, there are several machine learning and deep learning algorithms are there. If you can build that adequate data set, your system can predict the model correctly. The more the data set length will be, training data set length will be, the more will be the prediction accuracy rate. Okay, you can easily achieve nearby 100% as well. Okay, so it's all about the collecting the data properly, and obviously the filtering the background noises, definitely, as there are some pre-processing steps are associated with that. People who are the background from the computer science or electronics communication, they can understand that how the computer vision plays the key role in case of the feature extraction and all. And then it comes to the deployment of machine learning or deep learning, appropriate machine or deep learning algorithm to predict those normal or abnormal heart rates.
Okay. So, is this technology being used in real life, or is it still under the testing phase?
No, no, no. Lot of you can if you search in internet, you will find a lot of hospitals are collaborating. Okay, whether I have mentioned also one example about the hypertension detection. Hypertension detection can be done through the blood pressure information. Okay, so due to the availability of the wearables, you can see there is a huge deployment of. You see, at the end of the day, you get the data from sensors, right? So that is a success of IoT, Internet of Things. And when you get the data, you send data to the cloud. Okay, and through the cloud analytics service where AI based algorithms are being trained, you can easily get the results back to your system. Now there are a lot of other systems are also evolving, like fog computing or edge computing, because you see there is a huge congestion in the cloud, so you have to reduce the latency. Because in healthcare, real time monitoring is very important. Okay, so due to have the real time information, a lot of people are putting some intermediate devices like smartphone based app, what I am talking about, the SaaS model, software as a service. You can call it as a edge analytics as a service as well. Edge devices is a smartphone is a good example of the edge devices. What you can do, you can store the information in cloud, but you are doing analytics through your low power processor devices like smartphone. Okay, your phone app, for example, if you are using up to date deep learning architectures like inception net or exception net. Okay, so there's a very strong deep learning architectures. If you're using them, they can give you the accuracy level nearby 98 99% if you can train it properly, obviously. And one important thing, the main challenge is that I am telling you why it becomes very difficult in vivo data. That means live data, because there is a very much interference of the stray light. Stray light means you can consider it as an unwanted signal, which we call as noise in technical term. In the term of signal processing, we call it noise. So it interferes with the original signal. So it depends on how you are doing the pre-processing steps. So if the people from the electrical engineering background and computer science and EC background, they all are aware of that in spatial domain, the signal is in the convoluted format with the noise. So if you can do the Fourier pre-processing, what happens when you go to the Fourier domain? So noise becomes in a multiplicative format with the original signal. So it becomes very easier in the pre-processing step to extract out those noise. Then once you extract out those noises, obviously the 100% noise-free system is not possible, but as much as you reduce the noise, your system accuracy will automatically increase, because you can train the algorithm in a proper way. And definitely the second thing and most important thing is the adequate data set. So what people do, there are a lot of data sets are available nowadays in Kaggle and GitHub. You can go get those data sets, you can train your system. Once you get the proper result, you can approach to hospitals. There are a lot of doctors who are very much keen to collaborate with those data science experts. So if you can approach them in a proper way, if you can convey them that your methodology or tool is completely non-invasive to human body, they will definitely give you permissions to collect the live data. You can then gradually develop your prototypes. So that is how the systems are being developed, and a lot of new startups in the healthcare domains are coming up.
That was a very amazing answer, sir. All right. So
Thank you.
moving on, my next question is for Dr. Sachdeva. Ma'am, according to Alex Mashkin, there is no industry in more need of artificial intelligence and automation than the healthcare industry. Do you agree with this statement?
First of all, I would like to, take forward the answer of Sabyasachi. It was a very detailed technical information, uh, but I would like to comment on few things. I disagree that in healthcare AI will dominate. It has dominated in many fields, but there are certain things where healthcare is different. Now that I belong to this fraternity, I would little differ. Yes, it has percolated deep down into the healthcare, even in the live. Even he has given so many live examples. The biopsy one. Let me take forward whatever example he has given. We are going towards virtual biopsies. Uh, in very advanced countries, maybe not yet in India. Um, Limited setups in India only.
Currently the teaching is that gold standard is the histopathology. So not only the virtual biopsies will have the advantage of being non-invasive and all other advantages that he said, maybe they are more accurate sometimes also. That's again subjective, but for it to dominate and for it to replace the human assessment, maybe I'm little skeptical about that. Similarly, for the example of
Okay. But one thing I want to
uh,
mention,
uh, let me
please you
finish.
continue, then I will mention one thing.
Huh.
Please continue.
Regarding the heart thing, I want to say, suppose there is a deviation in pulse rate, and there is a artificial intelligence like a robot who knows that if this goes down, there is a cardiac arrest, and you have to resuscitate. Go ahead, do the defibrillation, and it cannot take information or instructions like do not resuscitate. And even if it is a 101-year-old man and that DNR thing is not available with that, the robot is going to go ahead and break the ribs. These are certain practical limitations of this thing, that where I would say that it cannot replace humans, it cannot dominate the healthcare so soon. Maybe the answers to all these questions will come gradually, but these are certain examples where and the third thing is, the probably he was talking about the risk assessment and all in heart, when he was saying about hypertension. There is a lot of data that probably a human mind cannot correlate. Suppose if you talk of risk assessment of heart attack, myocardial infarction. So we know that there are, you all know, and every layman knows, smoking and obesity and diabetes and family history and maybe the ethnic group Asians, they are all high risk. So whenever we see such a patient, hypertension, if there are other risk factors also, then we do say that yes, your risk assessment is poor, and the database is so large for a computer algorithm. Maybe we can get, they can assess more of risk factors and tell us much before that. Suppose we say 10% are at risk, the computer may say, the AI may tell us that these extra 40% are also at risk. But there will be something that they will not be able to tell how that assessment has come, or there will always be. And then something that only healthcare, the actual not a virtual but an actual doctor can do, is empathy. The computer cannot, while stitching, give the so-called, we say, vocal anesthesia. There is a local anesthesia, there is a general anesthesia, there's also a tocal, to be on the lighter side, and there is the vocal anesthesia that AI cannot give. Then there is that customized psychiatry counseling, say, even that. So to say that yes, it will dominate the healthcare industry is neither desirable, I would say, nor probably acceptable. You know?
Okay, so I just want to
Yes,
say a few things
sure,
here. First
sure.
of all,
I'd
sir,
love to hear
ma'am,
you.
first of all, I want to mention that I mentioned one thing, that AI will play a strong catalyst role in helping doctors, but I never said that it will replace the doctors, because you see, doctor in the healthcare domain, doctors are the ultimate decision makers. And I also know, I have worked on the biophotonics domain, so cancer biology also varies from people to people. So it is the ultimately the doctors is the decision maker. Now I believe the questions she asked about that how AI has influence in any other domain. So how it will create impact on healthcare, definitely. But dominating it does not mean or does not imply that it is going to replace doctors. So in healthcare domain, doctors are the ultimate decision makers. Even in other domains, for example, in agriculture domain or any other domain, whenever you are deploying AI, so always in the board. For example, if you are building certain apps, healthcare apps, so obviously medical board with comprising doctors, they gives the permission. Once they approve, while the alpha testing phase or beta testing phase, doctors make the ultimate judgment that whether this app can be launched into the market or not. Even in the agriculture domain or any sector, there are field experts are there in the board. Okay, so AI plays the role of catalyst in any domain. And obviously healthcare, because in healthcare it is a critical issue. It's about the life of human. So doctors are obviously the ultimate decision makers, but AI has certain influence and the role is the catalyst. It's not about replacing doctors. I am also
Yeah,
also
it's
also also aware of the roles of the doctors, because in this domain doctors are the ultimate decision makers, but AI role is just a catalyst, nothing else.
yeah, hybridization, we can say. That is the ideal
Exactly,
thing
exactly,
to
exactly,
go.
exactly,
Yeah.
Okay, so moving back to your original question, ma'am, that according to Alex Mashkin, there is no industry in more need of artificial intelligence and automation than the healthcare industry. Like, what do you have to say about his statement?
So you are asking me or ma'am?
Oh, ma'am.
Problem. Okay.
Oh,
Yes, I sort of agree, because see, ours is an industry where there is so much research, so much advancement, so much changes from day to day. And AI certainly, as Sabyasachi said, is a catalyst. So of course, we welcome the contribution of AI in healthcare, and so many things it will make simpler for us. Like sometimes the HR issues. We have say for example, we have 400 patients waiting for a particular task, and that task can be done. Suppose we do like a gynecologist waiting to do antenatal examination. She needs some tasks already done before the actual consultation comes. So if a nurse sits and takes BP of these 400 women before they go, will take much more time. So, having realized the advantages of AI, like cost reduction, the simplicity, the access, as he was saying, far monitoring of far out people. So, there are so many more advantages. There may be accuracy. He was talking about 98% accuracy. So, having realized the advantages of AI, I do agree that healthcare does need AI, and it's welcome. It's a welcome change.
That was very wonderfully put, ma'am. My next question is for Mr. Khernair. Sir, the main goal of using artificial intelligence in the field of healthcare is to reduce as much manpower as possible, as ma'am said. So, do you think that this might create an income disparity amongst the people in this field?
Exactly. The thing is that this will definitely bring a change now because as we all saw that doctors cannot be replaced, but there are some other job positions which will definitely be replaced because as technology advances, we not only in healthcare, in all the fields we have observed the same, and this will bring a huge impact now from starting from a normal position to the senior doctor. This thing can bring a change, but at the end doctor will be the final decision maker.
Okay, very.
Uh,
That was, yes, ma'am.
uh, I would like to add something. There are certain tasks which cannot be replaced. Only a ward boy will see if radiology is taking over, and radiologists are less required. Less required, as he said, it cannot be done away with, but less required. So there is reporting by the AI, and there is final reporting maybe by a specialist there, who is taking the patient to the MRI machine, wheeling wheeling the wheelchair. So the ward boy's job will never be done by a machine that way. Similarly, the nursing care, maybe the monitoring part can be replaced. The nurse does the monitoring also, but the actual bedside nursing care, changing clothes, that cannot be probably, as far as I know. I'm not a technical person from that angle. That
Exactly.
will come. And the empathetic angle, again, I would say a nurse is also the bedside friend of a patient. We when we take rounds, we are not only a technical person going, it is the morale of the patient also being brought about. So a nurse who is spending 8 hours with the patient, that cannot be replaced. And income probably will increase, I believe. If you have less of HR and specialized things being done by that person, why should the income be reduced? If the demand for nurses and ward boys decreases, then the HR will divert to the other side. But the ones who work as nurses and ward boys should not feel that they will be deprived of their
Yeah,
packages. No.
means exactly that there are certain positions in the healthcare industry which can never be replaced because under whatever things may happen, a human presence is very much needed because at the end it's a human who has to make the decision.
Yeah,
But
that's true for
as we
all.
saw, yeah, and not only for healthcare, it for all domains, it's the same. But just because of the pandemic situation that we are having, it was observed that many companies came up with several robots which can do quite a lot many of automated works. So that may bring an impact, but they won't be replacing them. Thank you.
Actually, I think she in her question she is more worried about the humanoid robots. actually what is happening in few cases. Some humanoid robots have seen to do the job of nurses or ward boys. So that's why there is a question arising, and there is one of the fear arising that whether they can replace. I mean, because you see, as I mentioned earlier, also in the third world countries like India, we have that BOP, bottom of pyramid. There are more than 96% people, so they do not have enough money to pay tax. Now, if you see, in some cases, if we consider that humanoid robots are deployed, then you see there will be huge problem in Indian economy. You see a lot of people will be jobless. So it always depends upon the policymakers also, that how they are bringing the automations. Because you see, everything, for example, we always talk about science is a blessing, but if people use it in a wrong way, it becomes a curse of human life. So same thing applicable for AI also, that how we the policymakers are bringing the automation AIs in the industry, because we have to see the job factor also. You can't deprive somebody's earning as well. So it's not only about the healthcare. In any domain, whenever you are bringing AI or automations or humanoid robots, technology is fine. Welcoming new technology is always fine. But you have to the policymakers have to make a proper trade-off between the job aspect scenario and bringing the new technologies. There should be a proper balance. Otherwise, it will be huge. It will have the adverse effect on our economy for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, so sir, continuing with your point only, do you think that medical education system should introduce the study of artificial intelligence in their curriculum?
Well, that can be done, because you see, for example, doctors, nurses, see, they are a little bit of aware of this those technological aspect that will help them, and nothing else. It's you can definitely introduce them in curriculum, because you see nowadays, even in engineering, for example, in engineering curriculum, people are studying biomedical engineering. They are also a little bit of studying biology. You see, in physics, for example, people who are exploring in biophysics domain, they are also biophysics, biophotonics. They are also studying a little bit of biology. So it helps for the collaborative efforts. You see, because the fields are expanding. So nowadays there is not much boundary about the subjects. Okay, it is always better that some sort of the IT knowledge, some sort of the AI based advanced tools and technologies can be conveyed to the medical studies. It will also be helpful for them. Okay, that's a good effort if you can do that. Nothing else.
Ma'am, do you
Yeah.
agree with sir?
Certainly, because change is the way of life, and we have to accept that we cannot ignore the developments that are happening in science, and it has to be parallel. Again, you cannot make a doctor first and then teach AI, like the way our generation is facing. So if I'm teaching pharmacology to a class and talking about drug interactions, and there is this advancement of drug interactions being studied by being done through AI. You have so many database being collected on drug interactions, and a human mind can learn only limited things. We can go wrong sometimes because the umpteen number of drugs. So in the same lecture we have to talk about AI and how the WHO is collaborating to develop database and algorithms on drug interactions. So it probably we have to switch. It's just like we did a surgeon who was very expert in conventional surgery, but a patient would go to a person who is doing laparoscopic surgery. So probably somebody who is conversant with AI will be a better doctor. So we cannot oversee that development. It has to come. It will come, I think, gradually.
Yeah, and also I wish to add one thing that we shouldn't consider all domains as different, because even from the first year of engineering we have been learning study of all different branches, whether take it mechanical, electrical, or computer science. So basically all these domains are interlinked. It's the only thing that brings the difference is that we have our specialization in one branch where we need a normal or say a required knowledge in all other branches, and that is very much needed. And hence even in medical it is brought it should brought at least to a certain extent, that is very much needed, because artificial intelligence is almost the future. Thank you.
Yes, that was very right, much rightly said. Okay, so my next question is: given the fact that India is still a developing nation, If such complex technologies are used, will they be successful in the Indian society and feasible to the Indian economy as well?
Is that question for me?
Whom you are asking?
Yeah, anyone can go with it. Mr.
Should I
Khernar?
start?
Yeah,
Yes, sure, please.
yes, sir.
Okay, so you see, first of all, like I told you, that one thing is that if you are talking about humanoid robot at the present circumstances and deploying in India, you see, apart from the higher society people, I'm talking about in terms of economy. Other, I mean, as I am repeatedly mentioning that more than 96% people under the bottom of pyramid category. So you can understand the affordability will be very less. But if we can deploy AI in a SaaS model in healthcare, I'm talking about healthcare, for example, software as a service, where the testing will be done on a subscription basis, so it can be affordable to everybody. Okay, it will have a huge impact on bottom of pyramid, because you see, if you can charge about 10 rupees to 100 rupees per scan, everybody can afford that, and obviously it will reduce the load from the doctors as well. And apart from that, you can see that some, in some cases, it may be avoidable of some expensive treatments. In some cases you may avoid the cost of biopsies as well. So these are the possibilities where actually AI can create impact. But definitely one of the solution is obviously the software as a service, or you can call it as age analytics as a service in more technical term. These are the ways, if you can deploy it proper way, the AI can definitely create impact on the bottom of pyramid domain. But as of now, I am telling you, it's not the right time to deploy humanoid robot, because you see, if you want to create the mass benefit, first of all we have to strengthen our economy, and secondly we have to generate the mass level of awareness about the new technologies. Because you see, if you deploy a humanoid robot, that is going to take up new, first of all everybody can afford it, secondly it will create huge job crisis in the market. So if some people, some X or Y, has to shift their job, he has to train with the new advanced technologies. So that is also required. So this is the question you have asked as a deep, I mean, it's a very deep question, lot of angles, lot of areas need to be explored. But in a shorter term, as of now, in healthcare, if you want to do the mass benefit, AI can be used as a SaaS model. That's I can say in a nutshell.
Exactly.
Ma'am,
But
yeah.
just after this, our question
Let Vedant
arises that
answer.
are people ready to accept artificial intelligence in the industry? Because what happens is that, suppose I am someone of my relatives who is going to have an operation, will I let some artificial intelligence robot do the operation thing? Obviously I
No,
may not
actually,
have guarantee.
already I have mentioned about to avoid the humanoid robot as of now. Already I have
Exactly.
mentioned. I am not
So
talking about humanoid
it is
robot.
the
I am talking
people
about
who won't
using as a SaaS
accept it.
model. AI using use of AI
Yes,
as a SaaS model, where doctors will be the ultimate decision makers. It will play the role of catalyst.
exactly.
It will reduce the cost of the treatment and can create the mass benefit. It's not time to deploy humanoid robot in a mass scale. It's not the right time. But if obviously in some experimental purpose, you can do that in a certain extent, but provided the condition that there's a strict monitoring of the doctors as well. But in a large context, as of now, for next 5 years at least, it should be the use of AI in a SaaS model under the strict monitoring of the doctors. Definitely.
Exactly.
I also fully agree with Sabyasachi. He has brought out the actual, what India needs at the moment. Just to add to that,
Thank you, ma'am.
India is actually a HR rich country. As he said, we have a lot of HR available, but at the same time we have a lot of talent, and we have the all the technology also. So we don't want to remain behind any country also. And considering that we are a medical tourism country also, so maybe it will have to be something differential. We cannot look at India as one. India, if you have, just to give an example, you may have heard of the Niti Aayog by Honorable PM Sir. where we have identified out of the 600 districts, we have say some 160 districts which are aspirational districts. So that has been maybe that is also done through AI, identification of aspirational districts. Now that I'm talking, I'm thinking maybe it was done because we have multiple criteria based on which we have those aspirational, and we have differential strategies in these districts. We are not giving equal amount of money to all the districts. We are not giving equal amount of strategies to all the districts. So based on the need, so just जो far off districts हैं उसमें हम रिमोट मॉनिटरिंग को लगा सकते हैं. जो मेट्रो सिटीज हैं वहाँ पे हम एआई को यूज कर सकते हैं. Medical tourism, these robotic surgeries and all, which may be costly but affordable in these cities. So that way we can go. You cannot say whether it is
Exactly.
relevant in whether it is relevant or irrelevant in India's context. It is both relevant and irrelevant.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my next question is for Mr. Khernair. Sir, under the current circumstances of COVID-19, how will artificial intelligence cater to the various problems that have arisen, from testing people to discovering a vaccine for the same?
Exactly. And just why to just limit up to the discovery of vaccine? We can think at the moment of after vaccine too. So just let's start with the beginning that as we all faced this pandemic, we all have to be in lockdown and there was a work from home situation. So AI has helped in work from home stuff. Then it has helped in medical side, like starting from the detection to analyzing how the coronavirus has changed or say has got its evolution throughout the time, and accordingly some algorithms can be made which can help in the discovery of vaccine. Apart from this, this is also giving us the uh, how the rate is going to increase the infection rate, and what factors are we coming into action and are leading to what circumstances. So this whole situation can be analyzed by artificial intelligence, and it can also be used for how we can improve or say stand back on our feet after this pandemic.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Professor, Doctor, would you like to add on something to his points?
Yes, COVID actually was a very unpredicted situation, and here AI, I suppose, has really helped in the management because the everything is new, even the data is new. We never knew what the typical symptoms are, what the treatment protocols should be. What so these are all probably, and we were actually in Delhi, being a part of the system. We were getting new SOPs from the government of India every day. WHO had to come out with new SOPs almost every day regarding different things. So all that probably has been made possible with the quick availability of data and its analysis, development of algorithms. All that has come very handy. AI probably has come very handy in the management of COVID pandemic. And of course, all the aspects that Vedant has mentioned, starting from screening to presentation to management to treatment protocols to post testing thing, and of course the further research and development, vaccines and all. So in every aspect of the pandemic management, AI I don't know directly how it has contributed, but I'm sure it has.
Okay, so I would
Also, I
like to
want to
add
mention
one more
one.
point.
Please carry on.
Uh,
I will
yeah,
start.
okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, so I would like to add one more point. Is one of my projects that I have worked on recently. It was chest X-ray detection. Means COVID-19 detection using chest X-ray. So it was totally an artificial intelligence project which has deep learning, specifically residual learning into action. So the best part is that it has achieved around 98% accuracy, and it can detect whether a person is infected or not within just 5 seconds, provided we have the X-ray of that person. So this is the extent we can have, or this is not just the extent. This is can also be the beginning of where the artificial intelligence takes place a role into this situation. Thank you. So
Well,
please.
already Vedant has made a very good point, very good example of chest X-ray data. But you see, in the real life scenario, doctors more rely on CT scan images of chest rather than the chest X-ray. So, what happens in one of the examples I can mention, I already have seen from the heard from the couple of doctors or several hospitals that they already mentioned about deploying AI in case of the CT scan images. Okay, while detecting the COVID-19. So these are the possible examples, and I believe that who are the listeners in your YouTube channel, they can relate them, because I know a lot of students who are enthusiastic in deploying AI for the chest X-ray, whether it is on the chest X-ray data or CT scan data. They are deploying that. I want to encourage them, because we have heard the positive feedbacks from the doctors on that side.
Yeah.
That was those were some very insightful answers. So, all right, audience, you may start asking, your questions in the chat box. We'll take them in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the discussion. Okay. So, continuing, my next question is for Dr. Sachdeva. Ma'am, like a doctor analyzes a patient, and as you said, then they give empathy to the patient. Do you think in the near or far future will artificial intelligence ever be able to achieve this?
Yes, it will, to a great extent, but then of course not 100%, because what we were taught in our bedside classes, that there's nothing that can replace the examination of a doctor. Uh, but however, in reality, probably you would also agree that a lot of things are changing. Like, just for an example, a palpable liver, enlarged liver is palpable, and when we, unless we touch the abdomen of the patient, we do not know. But gradually, now patients come to us saying, "Ma'am, I have an enlarged liver on ultrasound." So these things are happening. So the conventional teaching that we were given has a lot of things are being done by AI, and AI will certainly take over many parts of the analysis and history taking. And because, see, management starts with history taking. So history taking, examination, investigations, all these three, AI is having a role. And finally we diagnose and then make a treatment protocol. But then there are certain things, I already talked about empathy. There is another thing like creativity. Even that AI cannot have. AI will work on what the database has been given. So suppose the pulse is going irregular, it knows what's wrong, and what probably it may also suggest treatment, prescription also. Second part of your question is regarding prescription. So even that can be done. But then an irregular pulse can have various reasons, and the treatment may be different. Like anemia, and a simple example I am giving you, commonest problem, anemia. Okay, answer is hemoglobin less, iron. But it may be a iron deficient, non iron deficient anemia, where iron can do more harm than good. So these certain mistakes can be there, which I don't know, with gradual learning, the algorithms can be changed, and algorithms can be, those things. These are some limitations that can be taken over. But the creativity part, you say, like in cancer, first example that Sabyasachi gave was in the field of cancer. So their diagnosis, it is making accurately. It is also giving us a lot of the best treatment protocol. Chemotherapy, is so many combinations, and so many, there's a whole panel of doctors who sits there and decides, for this patient, for this kind of cancer, this will be the best protocol. And even that role, AI is taking over. It is deciding the best protocol. But where is that protocol coming from? It is the humans which are deciding. It is the doctors which are deciding. So that creativity part cannot come inherently in AI. If there are n number of regimes of chemotherapy, and AI will be able to decide only from the available regimes. Just like, you tell the AI to write a novel, and it will write on based on the literature available. It cannot write a new story. So that part also, I believe, so it can analyze, it can diagnose, it can give the management. But there are certain things that probably the gaps will remain, which have to be filled by actual human. if that answers your question.
Yeah, yes, that was a very great answer. Okay, so my next question is for Professor Mukhopadhyay. Sir, the potential benefits of artificial intelligence are huge, but so are the dangers. So, what are your thoughts about the same?
Well, actually, I indirectly answered that question earlier also. That, for example, you see, I already have told you that the clerical job will be demolished. You see, and according to the economists and the experts in this domain, they have mentioned that eight, eight, your 800 people, 800 million people will lose the job by 2030. So it's a huge amount due to the demolition of the clerical jobs. Now you see, I am telling you that it's all about the government and policymakers, that definitely we are encouraging advanced technologies and new technologies. Is that absolutely fine, but we have to think about those people who will become the jobless. Okay, so we have to train them such that they can choose, make a choice about the alternative career options. Okay, so that's why I mentioned earlier also that awareness about the new technologies, giving them proper training, making them aware about the what are the new opportunities are coming up. Because you see, due to AI, a lot of new jobs are coming up. For example, I am giving one simple example. Even nowadays in management study, you see, there are MBA courses on data science, there are BBMBA courses on business analytics. This is completely based on this data science and AI. So you see, there are management people who are also being giving the proper training of AI, data science, those kind of things. So new jobs are coming up, new opportunities are coming up when the certain doors are being closed, but the new doors are opening up. Definitely, that's a positive sign. But given the amount, 800 million people is it's a huge amount. Okay, and we have to. I think the policymakers have to think that whenever you are bringing certain technologies, it should not affect the bottom of pyramid. The term I am mentioning repeatedly, BAP, it should not affect it, because everything has their positive sides and negative sides. But we have to embrace the positive sides and we have to avoid the negative sides with proper plannings. So the proper planning of the deployment is required in any field, whether it is agriculture, it is healthcare, or any other domain. The AI has a lot of positive potential. We have to make sure that we are taking those positive potential, but we are not depriving the the benefit of mass level of the people. We have to come up with certain policies such that we can balance the both side. Because depriving mass level of the people, making mass level of the people jobless, is not a proper solution. Okay, that will make a negative sense, negative message towards the people. Science, technology should be the blessings of our life, should not be the curse. That thing we have to keep in our mind.
I wish to add something to answers of ma'am and sir both. So basically, there is a term in artificial intelligence that has come recently. It is known as creative AI. So, for example, this was first observed that how AI can make paintings. So this was actually made. Such models were made, and recently there was an observation that some two of the Facebook bots, they created their own language and they were having their own conversation, and as a result of which Facebook had to shut down their bots. So there is a chance that artificial intelligence may have creativity. So now coming to the sir's answer, yes sir, that was an awesome explanation to that question. So
Thank you.
will AI be a boon or a bane? So basically, what happens is that there are two aspects when we see the negative side of the artificial intelligence. First is the near side, where we consider only the situation where people go jobless and all. And then there comes another different level of stage where we have a question: will artificial intelligence dominate over humans? What will be the primary species of this planet? So these are the two aspects, and it's that we should learn to coexist with our artificial intelligence. It's very much similar like symbiotic relationship. So thank you. Yeah.
That was an amazing answer, all of you. All right. So, my last and
Vanshika,
yes,
Vanshika,
ma'am, yes.
since you use the term dangerous, dangers, that's a dangerous term. I would just like to add the HR issue is the biggest danger, I think. I was thinking of two more dangers, that it can bring. We have discussed the limitations and all. So one thing is that, if we do the task shifting of diagnosing through X-rays, MRI reading, these radiological, or even the, suppose the pictures of skin cancer, we are giving the task to the AI. Will the doctors lose their skills? We gradually become experienced. We are first interns, then we are residents, then we are postgraduate students, then we are senior residents, then we are, and gradually we become highly experienced doctors. So we have done that through seeing a large number of cases. And if we are only given the final 2% to do, probably we will lose that clinical skill. That is one real danger, I feel. If we give that task, that was one issue that I thought. The other danger I was thinking was that sometimes the privacy part. If you are giving your data to the machine, then and probably it goes like cloud or whatever, it goes viral. It is shared at multiple levels, because if you have to collate a lot of data, then you share it with across seas, overseas, and everything. So that privacy issue, losing that privacy, is main thing, that we maintain confidentiality of our patients. So sometimes people also hide some symptoms, like to insurance companies, or for even with doctors, unless they come at a level with the rapport is developed or that, they may not tell you everything. First visit they'll tell you something, second, third, especially in psychiatry it happens. And suppose, just to give you an example, I was going through, people may not tell that they have tremors. The insurance people may think this is Parkinsonism, this is, they will accordingly decide, your, so, and your machine detects the tremors. When the data is being given, the mouse is, am I right? Sabyasachi will be able to tell better. So that is a breach in the confidential, breach in the privacy.
Actually,
I
ma'am, you have
I
pointed out
perceive that
correctly.
also as a danger.
Actually,
है ना?
lot of regulations of using of AI is also coming up, especially in the healthcare domain, because
Yeah,
it have to be made sure that the privacy should not be invaded. So a lot of new
yeah.
regulations, rules are coming up. At every country, the governments are also deploying certain rules and regulations on how much extent you can deploy AI, and because the privacy will be the given priority, definitely.
That's
And
why I pointed out. Hmm.
one to, one thing I want to extend, that like ma'am rightly said. You see, people in the medical background, they are studying 5-6 years of MBBS. Then they may go for the master of surgery or whatever, maybe their specializations. They are doing that, so they are gradually getting experience with certain subject. You see, and human anatomy is a huge thing. And as I mentioned earlier, also that cancer biology varies people to people. For example, your AI, for example, we have developed certain algorithms on AI. It is showing that that person does not have any cancerous tissues, but they may have some hidden other kind of symptoms which doctors can predict, because you are doing either binary classification or multi-class classifications through the system. So it will give you the positive or negative, that kind of information, and in some cases it gives you to predict the different grades of cancer, intermediate grades of cancer, for example, grade 1 or grade 2. But for example, that patient may not have developed the cancer stages now, but there can be some hidden other kind of symptoms within him or her. But doctors can only, experience that because of their long-term experience of that particular subject. So that's why I'm mentioning repeatedly that you may, in case of the healthcare domain, you may deploy AI. It will only be the catalyst. Doctors will be the ultimate decision makers. So you can't deny their role, because they have studied, 5-6 years with they have spent 5 years of their life in MBBS. They have done either master of surgeries and master of medicines after that, and gradually they are monitoring the patients for a larger extent. So you can't deny their credentials. Okay,
The,
so
the, the sixth
like
sense,
one
maybe
thing
you
Vedant
mean.
very clear. Exactly, sir. Exactly, ma'am. Absolutely. And Vedant made already a very nice terminology that AI and human beings, we have to live parallelly between the proper balance. But we should not lose that balance. Okay. Such that
Exactly.
technology remain the blessings to the human being. We should not abuse it.
I wish to add one point that means what I personally believe is that privacy is just an illusion. It is just the moment at which we get to know that our accounts are hacked. It is that moment, till that moment, we are believing that we are safe. Actually, if we saw that even uh, big personalities got Twitter account got hacked recently, as we saw the crypto hack that happened. So privacy is just an illusion. Just imagine that you have a smart assistant in your phone that whenever you have some invocation that assistant replies to you, so actually in the background that assistant is 24 hours listening to you. So and that data is always processed. It's just that how are they using, are they having that sort of transparency with us? That is the only thing that matters when it comes to uh, privacy and cyber security, data security. Thank you.
Those were some very amazing answers, all of you. In our chat, we have a very interesting question by Pooja Vyas. She is asking that is there something according to each one of our panelists that they find personally, if replaced by artificial intelligence, will definitely help in the healthcare industry?
Uh, Vanshika, is that question to me?
Yeah, yeah, ma'am, you can surely go
No,
ahead.
could you please repeat? Could you please repeat? There was a
Yes,
disturbance.
definitely. Yes, definitely. She is asking that is there something according to each one of our panelists that they find personally, if replaced by artificial intelligence, will definitely help in the healthcare industry?
Yeah, we have already given lots of examples. It's basically. Um, I think the drug interaction application is the biggest example because it's so much of data and so much of we have multiple ailments happening in patients. We have diagnosis hypertension with diabetes, with coronary artery disease, with this, and we have to give a long prescription. You must have seen, one person full pockets of pills, uh, 14 15, up to 14 15 drugs people are taking, and there is a possibility permutation combination of those drugs, counteracting each other's effect, or adding on to the adverse effects. You don't want to give them together. So here probably it's too much of data for a human mind, that cognition part, and to uh, be able to mix and match and decide. So here, I think artificial intelligence can really replace the
Mhm.
other examples. Mostly, I think it is hybridization. The ones I can think of, others can add.
Yeah, I wish to add one point to this. Excellent answer, ma'am. So now what we are normally dealing with is cloud computing and all. And when it comes to huge data and analytics and calculations on them, even the cloud isn't that sufficient. So because we have now emerged with quantum computing, so which can complete these calculations in just a matter of in a fraction of seconds. So this big data analysis and drawing conclusions from them will be definitely be boosted by the artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Well, Vedant made a very valid point. I think as the quantum computing is going to play a huge role, you see that the every day the database is getting double. Okay, now if we progress in this rate by 2035, all our processors, practical processors, will be saturated. Even the supercomputer will not be able to process the data. So we are going towards the saturation zone. So because of that, quantum computing is the only solution, and that's why people are now who are the experts in the domain. Even I myself also exploring a quantum machine learnings in this particular domain. So we are basically what we are doing. We are converting the classical algorithms in the equivalent quantum version. Okay, we are using, for example, there are IBM Q is one of the good examples who are providing the virtual quantum cloud support. So for example, the listeners who are interested in this domain, they can explore it as well. And definitely the domains like healthcare will be hugely benefited if we make the shift towards the quantum paradigm.
All right. Okay, so my last and concluding question is for all the panelists that, like I asked the audience in the very beginning of the discussion, that do you think artificial intelligence will have a successful future in the healthcare industry?
So, whom are you asking that question?
All three of you. Any one of you can, start.
I think at the beginning we have answered that as well, as because you see there a huge potential of AI. You see, and whether it is classical AI or whether it is the quantum person, definitely up to, during 2030s we have to definitely go for the quantum AI. But combinedly, it has a huge potential in the AI domain. But as I said that we can't ignore the potential. I mean the role of the doctors. Whatever you may do, you have to take the proper permission of the medical boards, because whenever you are launching certain, for example, some AI based apps, whether during the alpha version or beta version of testing, will be done by the doctors. They are the ultimate decision makers. So it will play the role of the catalyst firstly, and secondly, like the humanoid, for example, the deployment the humanoid robots. It, as of now, seeing the current economic situation, it cannot be done in the large extent. In some metro cities, maybe some rich person can afford that. Okay, so these robotic surgeries and all have the huge potential, but we have to equally be aware about the current economic scenario. So the deployment should be, and regarding the privacy issues, or whether that what extent we want to make the deployment of the automation, AI, humanoid robots, that should be decided by the very good policy. I mean, that can be done with the proper policy making, such that it can remain the blessings to our society.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly so. And the thing is that AI is not to replace the doctors or all the people who are working in the medical field, but it is to help them to speed up their process, just act as a catalyst, as Sir said. So this is what will be the role, and this should be the role, because at the end, it is a human life which is at stake, and we cannot risk putting life in danger. Thank you.
Yeah, in healthcare, we also talk of quality of care, and so the quality can be enhanced by AI. And I believe the human machine hybrid can serve humanity better.
those were some very phenomenal points that you all mentioned. So now, as we are near the end of this discussion, I would just like to say that we are not what we were yesterday. We are not, and we are not what we will be tomorrow. We are what we are today. So who knows how artificial intelligence will mold itself in the future? All we know is that with time, both humans and technology will evolve, and both will excel as well. Since and there is no stopping that. So, and with that, as a last thought, on behalf of GirlScript Jaipur and IEEE MUJ, I would like to say a very big thank you to our all the three panelists. It was a very big honor having you here with us today. And last but not the least, a very big thank you to our audience for being so supportive and active throughout the discussion. You guys were great. So take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon with other amazing sessions. Till then, stay tuned.
Thank you, Vanshika.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, sir
Thank
and
you.
ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.